It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this webinar, the ILM Tutor webinar. My name is Jerome Goodluck. I'm a Senior Business Manager at the Institute of Leadership, and you can see on screen I'm joined by my colleague Julie Rowlett, Higher Education Partnerships Manager at ILM City and Guilds. Hi there, Julie.
Hi, Jerome. Hi, good morning, everybody, and great. Thanks for giving us the time today to join us on this webinar and briefing about accessing your tutor membership.
Fantastic. Thanks, Julie. So we'll be hosting. It's 30 minutes. The session is recorded, so you can use it as a resource going forward. And the purpose of the webinar is to bring you all together. Well done. You're the brilliant ILM tutors out there working with the learners. And I'll be sharing my screen, bringing to life what tutor membership's all about, and hopefully that will be useful. During the webinar, you can post questions in the chat area, and Julie and my colleague Karen from the events team will be monitoring those questions, and we'll answer as many as we can. There'll also be the opportunity to unmute at the end, and obviously it's entirely up to you to keep camera on or off. Obviously we love seeing you. So let's start. It's very organic, it's conversational. Do enjoy. Now, before I get on with sharing screen and demo, we would just like to highlight the fact that the Institute of Leadership and ILM City and Guilds, we all used to be one organisation until a restructure 7 years ago. Tell us more about that, Julie. Let's remind everyone about the two different organisations as we are now.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, Jerome. Thanks very much. Yeah, so of course, I think still to this day we still get a couple of customers that are a little bit confused about the separation. But about 7 years ago, indeed, we separated into two completely separate legal entities. So we are ILM, the qualifications organisation, and now part of that wider City and Guilds group. So there is no abbreviation, no acronym that sits beneath our letters, that brand of ILM. I guess a little bit like IBM and KPMG and increasingly M&S, we are the brand of ILM. And on our website, that's where you'll find all of the resources about the qualifications that you deliver. Our partner, our membership partner, is the Institute of Leadership. So they are, of course, a completely separate legal entity. And on their website is where you'll find access to the resources. So you'll see quite different and specific branding to each organisation. What we do is when you register learners overnight, we do a file transfer over to the Institute, and they pick up where we have an email address in either of the platforms you register learners, either Walled Garden or, for those delivering apprenticeships, EPA Pro. And that then, if an email is present, will trigger the activation link for your learners to be able to access the resources. And I think there's an initial email and two follow-up reminders. So it's really just emphasising that we are two separate organisations, and the membership link will come from the Institute.
Brilliant. Thanks, Julie. Right, so what I'm going to do now is share screen. Let's go on a bit of a journey now. And I'll highlight some key areas and really bring to life what your tutor membership is all about. So I hope you can see my screen there. I'm sharing the Institute's website now, so leadership.global, and hopefully it's familiar to you all. And as Julie highlighted, we're separate entity providing the membership resources in partnership with ILM City and Guilds. And you are all, I hope, registered tutors. No problem if you're not yet, because I'll show you how you can register. So under what we do, membership, and I will just highlight actually, as I mentioned, most of you are probably registered. If you're not, no problem. Under membership and tutors, you'll see that there's actually a questionnaire. So if there are any colleagues within your centre that could benefit from the tutor membership, it's free. It's part of the agreement. Then you can activate that via this form on our website, and we just ask for your centre name and details and so on. So that's an easy way to register. And similarly for your students, now free student membership is available for all ILM learners on qualifications. And as Julie mentioned, when you register your learners, there's the field to insert the email address, which comes through to us. If ever that field is left blank, you can direct learners to this questionnaire for student activation. So it's under membership again, students and learners, and they can activate manually by completing the form. So, we just capture a bit of data there, and we can get them registered. And everyone that is then registered with membership will receive an activation email. I'm just showing you a sort of a sample template, as Julie highlighted. So we receive the files on a daily basis, and all the email addresses that we have, they'll get uploaded onto our system and invited via this email to activate their membership. A word of caution: the email that comes out from the Institute is a no reply email address. It's membership@leadership.global. The reason I mention that is occasionally it gets blocked in spam or junk. So, be aware of that as tutors, and you can advise your learners accordingly. And I'll show you a sort of a route around that. If ever you have learners that give you a blank look and say, no, I didn't get the email, I'll show you a way to get around that. But do always get in touch with us at the Institute. We're a friendly bunch and always happy to engage with you tutors and your learners as well. Okay, so that's a copy of the email, and you equally as tutors, you receive this when you activate your tutor membership, because you need to action it. You need to set up a password and action or activate membership for it to become live. So be aware of that, and then you can guide your learners accordingly. Now, membership is actually a really good thing. So before I actually log in, I'm going to highlight some of the key areas. We've got a grade comparison chart on the website in the member area. What I'm actually going to do is open that up a bit wider. So it's the comparison chart, including the student members and you as tutors. So these are free memberships, and as such you get access to lots of resources, not all of the assets, but this gives you a comparator, and we're going to log in as a tutor and have a look together at the resources. But just to highlight, there are routes to full professional membership if you want that through upgrade. We'll look at that in a moment, both for students and yourselves as tutors, but you get access to loads of brilliant resources. Back to the website. So under this grade comparison, I quite like these 4 quadrants, because for me they capture what membership's all about. So why activate your free membership? Well, actually, it's a good thing, because you get access to loads of great resources, good for personal and career development. We're really proud of the resources that we have at the Institute. They're world class, some are award winning, and it's good for you as tutors to be aware of the resources so that you can integrate them, download them, signpost learners to them, and we'll have a look together in a moment. I'll keep a beady eye on time and make sure that we spend a good amount of time looking at that before we go to Q&A. As members, you and your students are part of a global community, and and that's a good thing. We're proud to have tens of thousands of members across more than 70 international countries, and it just broadens the horizon, broadens the scope, and there are chances to network and check out the conversation with other members in other industries and territories and so on. You're kept up to date when you activate the membership, you'll receive weekly emails about what's trending, what's happening, invites to webinars and so on. And it's finger on the pulse stuff, so you can, just check out what's happening. As I say, what's trending, new research and thinking and all sorts, and talk from thought leaders. Finger on the pulse, it's good stuff. And then, well, there are routes to professional recognition, and there are credentials acquired when you complete some of the modules and so on, but the full recognition comes to life through the upgrade to professional recognition. And many like this because it comes with prestigious post-nominal letters after your name. And sometimes tutors, they approach us and say, hey, I want the letters after my name. It's good for your own profile and so on. And no problem. We just invite you to upgrade at preferential rates. So that is an option. Okay, right, let's log in now. So, and you'll remember earlier I shared a quick hack if someone says they haven't got the email. So the login button is always here, top right, on the website. So when I log in, you'll see here it's pre-populated with some information from earlier. But there is a button, it's forgotten. So if one of your learners looks at you quizzically and says, I didn't get the email, I've had a look in junk, just direct them to the forgotten password button, because on the basis that they have been registered, so their email has been logged on our system, we'll recognize them so they can reset and get access that way. So back to login, let's go in. And my colleague Wayne kindly gave me his details, because you'll see on here I'm a tutor. Now with membership, you can manage your account, so you can manage your preferences and change email address, so that's that button there, no problem at all. And then the resources themselves, they present across these tiles. So as a tutor, this is a typical view that you will have. So you'll have these tiles as that hold different groups of resources. And what I'll do, I'll whiz through each one. I will start with this one, the tutor toolkit, because although in the main you will see what the learners see, and that's a good thing, because you can, experience what they experience, and you can then direct them to certain areas. You get additional stuff as tutors, including this tutor toolkit. And I'll just go through and show you some of the assets in here. So for example, there's a flyer that you can download and share. And this is a flyer to guide your learners in terms of activating their own studying membership. And that might be useful, pre-start of the qualification. Send that out to them. And then they've got all the information they need to activate. This is information about the upgrade. You've heard me mention this a couple of times. So students can upgrade their own membership. Obviously, they get it for free. If they do want to upgrade, it's £100 compared to the usual £150 that you'll see on our website for membership. And the benefits of upgrading is obviously those prestigious post-nominal letters after your name, and access, if you'll recall that comparison chart that we saw, it opens up more resources. And you as tutors, of course, can upgrade anytime that you want to. And if you go to upgrade now, there's details on how you do it. But essentially, there's a code, tutor100. There's a member benefits flyer if you want to download that and share that as part of an induction, for example, with your learners. by all means. There are some short videos if you want to embed them, as part of the induction and sort of welcome joining instructions. There's a guide to an e-learning portal that we'll just have a look at in a moment, and other bits and bobs. So do have a look in your tutor toolkit. Hopefully there's some useful stuff there. Okay, My Leadership. Let's go into My Leadership. What's this all about? Well, it's an award-winning e-learning platform, and it was built on some research that we undertook at the Institute in terms of defining what great leadership's all about. And we came up with a model called the Dimensions of Leadership. If there's time, we'll have a quick look at that in a moment. And the Dimensions of Leadership identified some of the typical competencies and skill areas that you would find within leadership and management. And it's our suggestion. And we then built an e-learning platform called My Leadership, and My Leadership is built around the dimensions, of which there are 5. So authenticity at the heart, right through to collaboration. You can see them on screen. And then it's made up of 49 bite-sized modules, or in our language, we call them components. You call them what you want. We're not precious about that. And on the platform itself, this holds tons of resources. So each of the 49 components holds content. I'll go in and unravel one really quickly, but typically if you were going through each one, it's about 3 hours worth of just self-directed study, work through. And I describe the assets in 3 ways. There is read, there is watch, and there is do. So if I pick out self-awareness, for example, I go through and then encourage, it defaults to an assessment page, which we'll come back to, but encourage people to click a second time to access the learning. And then we unravel all the assets. And for example, we start with read. This is a high level overview on self-awareness, for example, and things are presented in a practical manner. It's not highly academic. You'll often see top tips and stuff like that. As tutors, I'll show you the download button. Anything that's read has a download button, and this is quite good, and tutors often like it because what it does is it formats that text into a flyer that you can save off the platform and share with learners. So it's it's bite size, and often it's quite good if you want to integrate this within your own resources. Please do. So if I go back there, and then if I keep going down, there we are, some top tips there. You'll see that there is these things called spotlights, and spotlights just go a bit deeper into the topics. So leadership styles as part of self-awareness, and again we've got some reading information there. Another download button. So as I said, anything that's read has a download anything that's of interest and use it. Let's do something now. If I go down here, I come to a worksheet, and a worksheet is a reflective exercise, a 2-page exercise, editable PDF, a chance, for people to do something. And often tutors like this because it saves you reinventing wheels. We've got about 190 worksheets, and I'll show you in the tutor login. There's a quick way to get to the worksheets, but you can use those again, save them off the platform, use them as a resource, and so on. Now, if I go back and very quickly, let's keep whizzing around, but do explore all of this. There's audio visual. I said read, watch, do. Let's watch something, a video. Loads of great resources. And then if I close that and go full circle, you'll remember that when I went into the module or the component, I landed on the assessment page, and you can have a go at this, you as tutors and learners. The way it's structured is 20 statements with true, false as an answer. The threshold is 80%. Have a go, submit your response, and when you you meet the standard, you receive a digital badge. Congratulations, hurrah! So incremental reward, which is pretty neat. Also on the platform, I'll show you some self-profile tools, which are quite nice, because when I go into the platform, I default to that tab, the resources, but also there are two quick fire self-profile tools. This one's quite nice, my leadership profile, and sometimes tutors encourage their learners to do it. It's a quick fire questionnaire, and you receive a personalized report that shows your strengths and areas for development against the core dimensions of leadership. So that's that profile. Let's go back into your membership. So that tile was my leadership, quite a lot there. And you'll remember I showed you those worksheets. The worksheets were those 2-page exercises, and you as tutors, you get a quick access to every single worksheet. So all the worksheets are consolidated in this tile, practical worksheets. And as I mentioned, you've got almost 200 on a whole range of areas. So, do have a look in here. You can even, our search function up here is really handy as well. If there's a specific topic, chances are we've got a worksheet on it. So do go in. Now I'll show some of the other tiles quite quickly. There's an area called My Careers, which is really useful for learners. And you can navigate, so you would launch this as I just did, and you can navigate up here via the tabs, or you've got tiles presented here as well. And so as free tutors and students, you get the initial level of access, and there's all sorts of really useful tools, including help to build your CV. There's an interview simulator, which is fun, because you would put your CV in there, and the interview would be tailored to your CV, and you can set level of difficulty and so on. So it's really good experience before you go for the real interview and so on. And yeah, some really good resources there in My Careers. Just to flag, if anyone chooses to upgrade their membership, it then unlocks another 5,000 resources. So it's a huge asset, but certainly initially you get access to lots of good tools in there. The hub is it's a conversation group, so you can go in there, say hello, check out the wider conversation. We don't allow overt selling in here, but you can go in there, share your ideas, share your thoughts, ask questions, which is really good. Earlier, you heard me highlight some of these some of those self-profile tools, and they're here. You can have quick access to them. Dimensions of leadership, that's the research that we undertook that helped inform the e-learning platform. So you've got a link to that. Podcasts, loads of great podcasts. Do check them out, including there's a series with our CEO called Leadership at the Edge, and he interviews global thought leaders. Everything's recorded, so you can access back issues. We've seen the tutor toolkit. There's also webinars, worksheets. We saw those, and you get the idea. And I know, Julie, you mentioned particularly on apprenticeships, and obviously the hours that are required as part of that. My Learning Record is a useful tool for what this does is enables you to download a personal report on the number of hours that you've spent on the membership resources within the membership area. So do check that out. My Learning Record, a personalized CPD tracker. Okay, now I see we've got 5 minutes left. I'm going to draw breath now. I'm going to stop share. I hope it was a useful demo. I'm aware that I was whizzing around quite quickly. It has been recorded, so you can look back in your own time. I really do hope it was useful. Now, let's invite questions for the last 5 minutes, and right, in chat.
There's no questions yet, Jerome.
Okay, no
just
problem
one
at
just
all.
came in from Lee.
That's fine. Lee, excellent. There were some really useful tools on here, much more than I realised. Wow, excellent. Well, you've made our day, Lee. Brilliant. The fact that we've opened that up for you, and hopefully now you'll be logging in and going in and unlocking all of those resources. There is so much there. And sometimes it's the best kept secret, which is really sad, because do go in, enjoy, get into the resources. So okay, any other questions? Or Julie and we can certainly exchange a few words. And Julie, what do you think our wonderful ILM tutors would benefit from hearing?
Yeah, I think the key is for the tutors, the more familiar you can get with it, the more useful, I guess, you'll find individual pieces of research, individual pieces of resource, rather, maybe even some of the fabulous research reports. Do click on the Edge magazine. That's an absolutely fantastic resource. It's the full magazine online, which I'd love doing that as a demo. So do click on that when you get to that little dashboard. I think really your role as tutors is really, really important and really key, because what we need you to do is to encourage your learners to activate. I think the simplest thing is to go in and to download and share. But really, if you can actually signpost learners and encourage them to do that activation themselves, then they'll, of course, get more engaged with the platform and indeed find more resources themselves. I think just a couple of things I really want to point out. I know I did reference earlier both Walled Garden and EPA Pro. So the free studying membership is available for learners on the ILM qualifications and learners who are, if they're not doing the on program with us, but doing endpoint assessment. So they will also have that link. But really important to encourage them, if they haven't had the activation link and it's not in their junk, that self-activation, that's a fairly recent development that we brought in to help address learners who haven't been able to access the resources. So the more you can, I guess, encourage them and direct them to find that, then that would be great. I think just one minor point, Jerome, you mentioned your digital credentials. I think they're only available for paying members, so those that have upgraded. So you can complete all of those individual assessments under those individual dimensions, all of those 49 components. But the digital credential comes for the professional members. And of course, I think if there's any other questions, then of course do feel free to forward them and ask them to us if they occur to you after the event here.
Yeah, brilliant. Smashing.
Just one question there, Jerome, from Suzanne Dew. If our online area isn't displaying properly, how can we get this resolved? Who do we contact?
No, that's brilliant. Excellent. Do contact us. I'm going to put in on the contact page on the website. I've just put into the chat. We have a general email address. We'll be absolutely happy to help you as much as we can. So membership@leadership.global. Ping us an email, please, and we'll do our utmost to help you. Wonderful. I hope that's useful.
I think sorry, just one final point is about that importance of email addresses, particularly for those in Walled Garden. I know different types of our customers maybe sometimes have trouble if there's it, but always come back to us if you're struggling to get the email addresses in, because at ILM we've now got some bulk upload processes which can help you bulk upload the email addresses into Walled Garden rather than having to do it on a one-by-one basis. So do approach us in that first instance. We do find, particularly those that use the bulk upload, that's when we get the clusters of learners who have been registered but without an email address.
Brilliant. Thank you, Julie. Excellent. Well, we need to wrap up, as I mentioned, in respect of your time. And Clinton, Julie, thank you for your brilliant feedback. We can see that in the chat. Thank you so much. We're absolutely overjoyed that it's been a useful 30 minutes of your time today. Thank you to Julie, my colleague there at ILM City and Guilds, and from all of us at the Institute, thank you so much for joining us. So encourage your learners, and you keep being brilliant tutors, activate your memberships and enjoy the resources, and we look forward to seeing you next time. All the very best. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.